Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem. So we are continuing. We're Pasuk Chet. Perik Chet, Pasuk Chet. So in the last Pasuk, according to the Gaon, or according to the Malbim, there is a very strong request, engagement, and statement of unity that Am Israel, on one hand, according to the Gaon, is asking from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Simeni kachotam al libecha, right? Let's become one. According to the Malbim, we need the Neshama ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to become one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? And to enter the Gan Eden and in a perfect osmos. And now, according to the Malbim, we have finished the fifth Shir, right? And we're entering into a mini song, which is from Pasuk Chet until Pasuk Yud Dalet, which is the end of the Perek. That's according to the Malbim. And now comes Knesset Israel. So according to the Gaon, we will see right now, after a request and an engagement of unity to the highest level possible from between Am Israel and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we're at, if you recall, right, we're at the end of time. We're at the end of time where everybody will recall and see the greatness of Am Israel, what has been accomplished, etc. Am Israel says, nobody can compare the love to any benefits, to any pleasures that that a person can benefit from in this world. So this is the highest peak. That's the peak of the request and love and statement of Am Yisrael to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It says the Gaon, Am Yisrael has also is carrying a little bit of a dark side to it. It's not shalem, not complete. Says the pasuk says, "Achot lanu ketana." We have a little sister. V'shadayim en la. She doesn't have breast. She's still young. Ma na'aseh la'achotenu. How should we go about her? Bayam she'edu barba. How do we address her when she is brought up? Meaning, she's not where she's supposed to be. We have a sister, a little sister, that's not complete. That's not fully developed. There is something incomplete, missing about her. And eventually, she's going to be brought up. How to do it? How do we address it? That's what Am Israel, Knesset Israel, tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says, okay, until now we've requested, we've engaged, we are fully dedicated to you. And this is what we want. However, we are coming with a caveat. There's a caveat here. We're coming with a little bit of a chisaron, of something missing. And what is that? Our little sister. HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers, Im Homahi, if she is like a wall, like, yeah, Nivne alea tirat keser. We will build upon her a castle of silver. Ve'im deledhi, but if she's wavery like a door, natsur alea luach ares. We will put on her a door of cedar. And right away, the little sister jumps out, and she says, "Ani Homa, I am a fortress. I'm a wall. Yeah, Ani Homa v'Shaddai, and my breasts kamigdalot. They are grown like towers. As I ti be'enav kemotzet shalom, and now I will be in his eyes favorable, and I will be granted shalom. This is an interaction there is. Am Yisrael is coming with something uncomfortable. It's revealing a flaw. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it depends how this flaw is addressed and what is the reason behind the flaw and how did she behave with that flaw. And then we have a statement. Okay, we're clarifying that this flaw was a flaw but was addressed properly. And that's how it brings shalom, harmony, unity between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Am Yisrael, including that flaw, and the shalom is granted. Now, this is high level. Now we're diving into the Gaon Mivilna. The Gaon says the following. Knesset Israel says, we have amongst us, throughout history, we have people that chose to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a hidden way for many reasons, out of fear, out of shame, out of compliance, out of comfort. They chose to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but they were never proud about it. They never wanted to show it. אותם שנתגדלו בעצמיה ולא יכלו לקיים התורה בגלוי. They grew in a hidden way and were never able to express and shine the light of the Torah in an open way. This is the flaw that Am Yisrael is carrying when it's stating and reaffirming its perfect osmosis and unity with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's understandable. Why? Because that's exactly the opposite, right? If we are one, and I'm telling you, put me on your like a stamp, on your arm and on your heart, it's something that is being seen, right? So on one end, I want to be seen. I want our love. I want our love to be shown to the world. Everybody realize who we are. Everybody understands how connected we are. That's it. The whole world needs to know. But yet, amongst my growth, amongst my avodah, there's a side of me, says Knesset Israel, that did not serve you in such a way. The opposite. They chose to stay hidden. They chose to stay undercover. So it's an issue because on one end, I'm requesting full exposure, but on the other, there was a side of me that wanted not to be exposed. And that's the tsa'ar of Am Yisrael. Basically, the Gaon says, when a person gets to his own geula, when a person gets closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he has to face all those moments where he was shy or did not want to be proud of his Avodat Hashem, did not have the courage, the clarity, the strength, for whatever reason, to carry the pride of his love and connection and service for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? We have a little sister. And that's the Haktana. I have a sister, meaning I have a certain avodah, a part of me is my sister. It's serving me, and we're going to understand where that's coming from in a second in the Gaon. But ketana, it's small. It was belittled. I made it small. I didn't allow it to grow. V'shadayim enla, and because it stayed hidden, it did not grow breast. The breast brings life. The breast is what gives builds the future. So there was an avodah that never yielded an outcome that can be a perpetuation of its efforts. And we know if you have something that you cannot pass on, lechaora, that's not life. That's not something that can be carried. It's something that's stationary, that's dead essentially. It's living the moment, but it's not alive. Once HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to judge me fully, after such a big statement of wanting to be with him and be proud together, like I was going to say, one second. A part of you didn't want me to be seen. A part of you didn't want me to be glorified. So how do you want me to glorify you with me if a side of you never wanted me to be glorified with you? It's like a midah keneged midah. Explains the Gaon Mivina the depth of it. He says, when Mashiach comes, or when a person is facing his own Mashiach, his own level of greatness and redemption, Yomu Malachim, the angels will come, and we say, Achot lanu ketana. The angels are the angels of the Torah of Am Yisrael, of the person that were created through the utilization of the chokhmah, of the wisdom that was given to men. Hashem gives each and every one of us chokhmah, wisdom, the chokhmah Torah, and we need to use it. So we use it for mitzvot, we use it for limud Torah, we use it. But sometimes we refrain our chokhmah. Sometimes we choke our chokhmah for many different reasons, like we said, fear, etc., uncomfort, whatever it is. And he says we took, and the Torah is called achot. Emor la chokhmah achoti at. Mishle says, tell the chokhmah. You should always tell the chokhmah, you are my sister. A person should live like that, by this. The chokhmah is the closest to you. The sister is what you protect. You will never let your sister be hurt. You will go to war to save your sister. We see Shimon and Levi, how they go and they protect their sister Dinah. Or Emor la chokhmah, always say to the chokhmah chotia, I am here to protect you, to love you, to look after you. Aval, what can we do? Achot lanu ketana. Our sister was to us ketana. Achot lanu, it could mean we have a sister ketana, which is small, or achot lanu ketana, or we have a sister that to us she's small, meaning we made her small. We never let her grow. That's what the Gaon is saying. Iktana, v'shadayim enla. We never used it properly. We never gave our chokhmah the ability to uplift us, to make us grow, thrive, blossom in Torah. V'shadayim enla. Therefore, this Torah never yielded productive outcome that can sustain without us after we're not here. We did not spread the Torah. We did not engage with the Torah with this chokhmah in a way that it stays infinite. That's what it means. So says the Knesset Israel, how are we going to address the sister the day that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will go through the accounting of our actions, whether as a Klal Yisrael, as a whole people, or individually. He says, because those angels that never saw the light of greatness, that were born in the dark, but never saw the pleasure and the greatness of the light, will come as category. They will come as prosecutors against us. Such a scary thought. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us so much chokhmah, so much wisdom, so much ability that we use, but we minimize them. We don't let ourselves thrive. The delta of what we did and what we should have done will come and bite us at the end. And there will stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, say, hey, by the way, I am this small, but this is who I'm supposed to be. I was to be much greater than that. That's what Am Yisrael is scared. That's the fear. It was small to us. And because of that, nothing came out of it. Now what do we do? How do we address it in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What will we say? Imagine, this is the fear that Am Yisrael has when Mashiach comes. This is the shame that Am Yisrael is carrying at the end of time. Nothing else.
It's the fear of their own reflection.
Yes. Andy, you wanted to say something?
Yes. When you say in a hidden way, could you give us an example of hidden way? What would it mean?
I want to use the word of the Gaon because it says it all. Be'atznea, in tzniut. A person that served HaKadosh Baruch Hu in tzniut, he was tzanua. He didn't want to show off. He didn't want to let others see the greatness of the Chokhmah, the greatness of the Torah. Ve'lo yachlu lekayem haTorah begalui. They were not able to behave, to practice the Torah openly, freely. A lot of people,
but we shouldn't do as derech eretz to obey the Torah with tzanuach.
No. Time out. Tzniut, the midah of tzniut, to be humble, is one thing. Okay? But if comes a situation where you need to choose between being humble and serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you cannot say, you know what?
No.
I should not. I have to be humble. It's not kosher because it's not nice to eat kosher and to pretend. Or it's not nice to put tefillin outside where everybody's going to say, You understand? No, I eat kosher, and yes, I put tefillin, and yes, I say mincha, and I'm in a meeting and I need to stop, or there's lashon hara. I'm not listening lashon hara, and I have to follow the derech haTorah, even though it's hard. No, I will not make the deal because this is called manipulation. This is called stealing. This is called lying. That's what it means. That's what it means. You have a peer pressure, and you cave in to that peer pressure and decide not to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, although within your own home, within your own life, you are serving Hashem. So it's not like we're not talking about someone that's not serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're talking about someone that's serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but is not proud enough to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a free and open way. This is what Am Yisrael will be carrying at the end of time. And this is what they are scared of.
I get it. It happens to me when I'm in a meeting and I have to say mincha and I'm ashamed.
Exactly.
To go out, people, I go to the bathroom, I come back.
Yeah. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. This is, I think I told you that many times, but it's just reinforced. My grandfather, when he came to France, he came from Morocco, and he opened his store. He had a store. When the holidays arrived, he had a thing. We are closed for Shabbat. We are closed for Sukkot. We are closed for Pesach. So the family said, Papa, halas, what do we do? What are you doing? Just close. Don't say nothing. You're making it worse. Say, no. They need to know why I'm closed. They need to know why I'm closed. And the family was astounded and amazed every time that when he would come to reopen the store, there was a line, and everybody was selling the same things on the street. But there was a line. Everybody was saying, no, we want to deal with Abraham Moyad. This is who we want to deal with. So my grandfather said, used to say, you don't never be shy. Never be shy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that brings you parnasa. But how many of us do that today? We're talking about mincha. I don't know, Pesach. That's what we're carrying. That's what we're carrying.
I got it. Thank you.
So basically, what is the root of it? Says the Gaon, the root of this mistake, of this behavior, comes from the fact that we refrain and choke the evolvement and sparkling of our chokhmah. If you back up your chokhmah, if you stimulate your chokhmah, it will give you the strength, the clarity, the wisdom, the passion to carry the fruit of this chokhmah in your actions in the most free and comfortable way. Good? Perfect. So the answer is, Im Homahi Nivne Alea Tirat Kasef. So he says, Bnei Israel, says the Gaon here, Bnei Israel are made of two types of Talmidei Chachamim. Two types. One, Yosher Sagum Sugar Mi Bnei Adam. One does not leave his house, enclosed. He stays in his own little room, doesn't want to go out. And he learns on his own. And then there's another one. There's two schools of thoughts. You have the one that goes out, that meets people, that talks to people, mingles with people, gives shiurim to people. And he says, אותם הגדולים מאוד בתורה ומעשים קטנים, ואינם מתייראים כלל מן האנשים שילכו ויבואו. He says these ones that are going and mingling usually are very, very big in their Torah and in their Yirat Shamayim, because their exposure shows that they are not scared of the influence, and their mind is very clear, and their acts of origin, their balance is extremely well mastered. And he says they're not scared that people will come and turn them around, chas v'shalom. And who are these? Hem shelomdim im rabim, the ones that learning with everybody, umkarvim otam laTorah, and bring them closer to the Torah. However, he says, אותם שמתייראים מתקרבות וחבורת אנשים, the ones that are scared to engage with people, שלא יטו חס ושלום מן הדרך, because they're scared to get influenced by what? Influenced by their behavior, by what they see, by what they're scared. And יושבים מסוגרים, these people, they stay close and enclosed in their room, and if you don't go in, you never see them out. Two types of schools. So says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, now HaKadosh Baruch Hu is answering to that fear. He says, Im Homahi, if the ones that are serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but they were serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a hidden way, Takifim kahoma, if they were really, really, really strong, and the reason why they stayed hidden was superficial, but essentially they are strong like a wall, like a fortress. Yeah, it's just that there was outside reasons. It's not the fear did not come from inside. Nivne alea tirat kaseh. I will build upon them a castle of silver, because at the end, at the end, it's considered as if everything was gathered, everything came to them. Their magnetic force from within is so strong that everything that was missed out will come back to them. This flaw is no longer considered a flaw. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them the merit by building upon them a castle of silver. It means he will attract all the loss factor that came because of that superficial reason why they were not shining. Everything will come back. The imdeledhi, however, if they were wavery and they were shaky like a door, and the flaw was essential, was real, came from their essence, because they were really missing something and they were really weak and frail in their emunah, etc. Refuyim, they're weak, they're like a door, wavery like a door. We will protect them for what they have built, but nothing else. We will give them, Hashem says, I will give them the zechut for what they have accomplished in a hidden way, but nothing else. Now, I want to make sure that I there's one point that I need to address here. The Ani Choma, the Gaon says, adds something spectacular. He says, you know what is the zechut, or the actions that I know that reveals to me that these people wanted to be revealed, but for outside reasoning they couldn't. Listen to that. He says, not only that I was learning Torah myself. Yes, it's true, I was hidden. I was learning Torah. I just couldn't show it. But I was mahzik Torah. I was making sure that I support the Talmidei Chachamim also. And that was my way of shining the Torah. I could not show it through my own actions for whatever reasons, but I made sure it spreads through the support of the Torah of the Talmidei Chachamim all over. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, 1 second. You could not express it your way, but you found another way to shine the Torah. This is showing me that you wanted to shine. So all the shine that you could not benefit while you were alive, I'm bringing it back to you, b'zchut, the effort of you, your effort to shine the Torah and spread the Torah. Incredible hidush of the Gaon Vilna. Here you see the difference between a weak person, a person that does not have the bones and the pride and the clarity to carry his Torah, and he lives between him and himself and nothing else, and the person that carries the burden and the responsibility of the klal, of the community, and maybe I cannot do it for whatever reason, but you know what? I will make sure that others do it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that at the end as a sign that he wanted to shine. So we will make you shine, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The tremendous chidush of the Gaon. So what does this group of people say? Okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, okay, im chomai, im deledhi. If you're like this is how you're going to be approached. And if you are wavery and weak, we will protect what you've accomplished, but that's it. So Am Yisrael, that group of people, okay, what do they say to Hashem? Ani Homa. I am unwavering. I am a fortress when it comes to my Torah. Veshadai, and my breast. He says, my actions. You're asking if I perpetuated something, if I created an infinite wave that lasts and outlives me. I did. Veshadai, kamigdalot, the mitzvot. I spreaded mitzvot. He says, what does it mean, mitzvot? Now, he says, bate knesiot ubate midrashot. When you push forward synagogues, yeshivot, and you allow people to gather and create more Torah and more mitzvot, this is the Shaddai Kamigdalot. This is how you perpetuate your Torah. We said that there was actions that were made, right? I couldn't do it myself, but I made sure that others did it through Torah that I've learned, through Torah that I've sponsored, but also through the opportunity given to others to also learn Torah and mitzvot on their own, such as Bate Knesiot to Bate Midrashot, says the Gaon. Az haiti be'enav kemotzet shalom. And here comes the atomic bomb of the Gaon. He says, Am Israel comes, very, very clear statement. We want you, we want to be one with you, we're aligned with you, you are our bride, we are your bride, let's go out, show the world, right? But what can we do? Let's be honest, we also have a dark side to us that we just addressed. And then the weak come, those weak people come, say, oh, 1 second, Ani Homa, my Torah is strong. I've learned it. I've sponsored it. And my mitzvot, I've multiplied it. Says the Gaon, Azaiti ve'enav kemotzet shalom. He brings the pasuk in Zechariah, ve'aya bayom hahu yipale be'enai pele. He says, suddenly the reward, the reaction of Hashem to the statement of those people creates a tsunami in the world. The reaction of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so great. There's so much beracha and shalom that comes to the world b'zchut these people, that not only the miracles are unexpected by everybody, but it says the Gaon, it's unexpected by Kivyachol, it's by Hashem himself. Hashem himself also did not expect, right, to shower the world with so much beracha and miracles from that statement that comes. כאיש השם מוצא שלום, דבר חדש ומציאה שלא היו מעולם ניסים כאלה. And he says, even, ואם כן הוא פליאה גם בעיני הקדוש ברוך הוא. Even הקדוש ברוך הוא himself is surprised to see how much Israel, Am Yisrael, is granted beracha and shalom. Why? Why? Atzum. He says, because of the dedication, because of the statement of Am Yisrael. He says, when you have that little dark side that suddenly fills up, right? It's missing. But we realize that their efforts that were not accounted for because it was not directly assigned to them. Okay? Because there was publicly, their name was not on it. That's on all the mitzvot we don't know about. All the mitzvot people do quietly. You don't know. You say, this guy is not a Baal Tzedakah. This guy, I don't know if he does mitzvot. In reality, Kodesh Kodashim. So why was he humbled? Side reasons. If it's essential reasons, it's a problem. Okay? But side reason, and he showed it with actions. He's getting filled up. He creates the shalom within Am Yisrael. They're the one that complete today the whole unity of Am Yisrael. It was Am Yisrael minus X. Suddenly that X does not exist anymore. This completion, this full entity and power of Am Yisrael triggers the absolute shalom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and beracha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mida keneged mida. Exceptional pshat, which shows us how sensitive and open-minded and careful we need to be of those that might not seem to be of the Hashem or the most expressive in their service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but indeed are so powerful and so engaged that they move mountains, and they will be the ones bringing at the end the extra beracha that was never even in the thought of being granted to Am Yisrael. Atzum. You see how we took a whole thing and flipped it around. It's incredible. Incredible. That's the Gaon Mivina. Any questions before we go to the Malbim? Okay, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Now back to the Malbim. So we did Pasuk Chet, Tet, and Yud according to the Gaon Mivilna. Now let's go back to the Malbim. So we know the Malbim, right? The Neshama transited, okay, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The body is left behind. Yes? And we finished the fifth Shir, the fifth song. But we said, the Malbim explained that there is a mini song at the end. So now, the Neshama that is going up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, becoming one with Hashem, it cannot stay and cannot leave behind the Ruach. The Neshama is too good. The Neshama has a Karat Tov. So the Neshama tells HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Achot lanu ketana. You know, Hashem, you bring me to Olam Haba, to Gan Eden, but I have a little sister. Who is the little sister? Says the Malbim, it's the Ruach. It's the Ruach, or the Sechel HaNikneh, the intellect that absorbed all the information, okay, and that grows through what we call experience, right? That's the Ruach. And that's
and emotions.
Emotions.
And the emotions, they stay. They don't
behavior,
go.
Instinct. That's the Ruach. All this is the Ruach. It's yeah.
And the neshama goes up, but the ruach stays here.
Yes. You will see.
Wow. Wow.
So the neshama comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says, you know, part of my success is also the ruach. The ruach had a part to my Gan Eden. V'shadayim enla. It's true. The essentially, if it's not for the neshama, the ruach would not be influencing any spirituality.
But excuse me, how can you say had a part? It was essential.
Why is essential?
Because without instinct, emotions, and all that, you could not influence. It's the
with the
how
body.
you do it.
Yeah. How do you do it without the body? Also,
it's essential too. Yes.
These are physical parts.
But the body is physical. The ruach is not physical.
But 1 second. You have. It's not 100% accurate what you're saying, because we know that hormones have impact on the emotions. Yeah. Hormones are physical. Chemistry.
Yes, hormones are in the body.
Very good. But
the emotion, it's not physical.
No, the emotion is a reaction to the hormone. When you have a lot of hormones, You can be more emotional or less emotional, right? Your experience builds a reaction, an instinctive reaction. That doesn't make it spiritual. That doesn't make it ruhani. Yes, it's a metaphysical behavior within the world of physics and chemistry. But you cannot say it's ruhani. You cannot say it's spiritual. It's something in between. It's something in between that is linked to the physicality.
Beautiful.
So says the Malbim, we have the Ruach that was influential. We know it did not have a spiritual influence. It only received and behaved as a support system or as as an opposition, right? The instinct can all help you grow and do a mitzvah by being excited to do it, or fight you to do the mitzvah. You're tired. Why should you wake up? Why should you go? You're upset. You want to react. You don't react. You're happy. You're sameach, right? So he says, it doesn't have a self-motivated, spiritual motivation. So he says, he says, now that I'm going up, and what are we doing with that achot katana, with that ruach, bayom she'edu barba, the day that we're going to be addressing, meaning it's being left with the body. It's dying away with the body. The ruach, unless it has a reason to go to olam haba, it dies away with the body, disappears with the body.
Wow.
So what are we doing with it now? So the neshama tells HaKadosh Baruch Hu, okay, I'm saved. I'm on the right side. But what about the ruach? So the advocate of all our emotions and our instincts is the neshama. So if depending on how powerful your neshama is, that will be the advocacy and to save your ruach, to save all these emotions and turn them into infinite emotions. You could have done a lot of mitzvot with a lot of emotions, but maybe those emotions are they're just going to disappear. Energy that will disappear.
Rob, one question. This is why when we eat, if we don't say Divrei Torah, it's like they say that it's a dead moment.
Yes, same thing. Same thing.
How does that correlate?
Because through the Divrei Torah, you turn something physical into spiritual. Right? So it's the same concept. Exactly. Now the neshama, right? The neshama says, okay, once again, how do we turn all these emotions, great emotions, into spiritual, into infinite? I'll give you an example. You work very, very hard, Baruch Hashem, you make an amazing deal. You go, you build a yeshiva. All your life you wanted to build something special, whatever it is, and you build it. It's an incredible feeling, right? But guess what? That feeling will disappear at the end of 120. What do you mean? I did so much. I want it to stay with me forever. Right? So says the neshama, okay, now we have to deal with the ruach. Is the ruach staying with the body like it's supposed to? Or is it transiting with us in olam haba? Crazy. I'm telling you, now we're getting to the...
Beautiful.
Yeah. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, wait. If she's like a fortress, if the Ruach was like a fortress, what does that mean? Chazaka kahoma velo shalat ba'yetzer ve'ata'ava. If it was strong to overcome the Yetzer Hara, not all the time, but it was strong to fight it. Do we win every fight? No, we don't win every fight. The question is, do we fight every time? You hear? It's not, did you win every fight? It's, did you
Impossible.
fight every fight? If you fought every fight, so you are strong like a fortress. Nivne alea tirat kasef. We will bring her into Gan Eden. We will bring the Ruach into Gan Eden. El atira nichsefet latzadikim. And we will build around it, meaning we will bring it to a Gan Eden that is benefiting from the aura, from the influence, from the light of the tzaddikim. Meaning the Ruach will now live through the light of the tzaddikim. Avalim deled hi. But if the instinct was wavery, it was compliant to the fact that sometimes it's great not to fight, and it's convenient not to fight, and we want this ta'ava, and it's good, and we pretend to be weak. We will make around it what? A panel of wood, of cedar. What is the panel of cedar? Is the box of that where we put the body. The ruach will die with the body. All these emotions will disappear. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says. He says we have to check. So the ruach jumps from the kever and screams, says the Malbim, screams from all its essence and breaks all the skies and screams to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ani Homar, I am strong. I am a fortress in front of the Yetzer Hara, and it did not affect me. Veshaddai, and my breasts. We address according to the Malbim. What is my breasts? We said it's one is the ka'as, one is the anger, and the other one is the ta'ava, is the desire. Shaddaim kamigdalo, they are like towers. Meaning what? They didn't fall for the Yetzer Hara. They didn't fall, meaning I fought on two fronts.
Unwavering.
I fought on two fronts. I did not leave the ka'as, the anger, take me down. I fought it all my life. And I fought the ta'ava, the desires of my life, all my life. Azaiti, ve'enai. So I was in the eyes of the body. In my eyes, kemotzet shalom. Says I was bringing shalom to the body. I was bringing inner peace. I was the source of harmony in the essence. The Ruach says, I was in the eyes of the body, the one that made shalom. From here we learn, from the Malbim we learn a few things. First of all, that the two pillars that need to be taken very seriously in the fight against the Yetzer Hara is anger and ta'ava and desires. These are the two things. And on another end, also, the Malbim brings it b'makom acher, the segula, to make sure that you raise kids that have the proper koach to overcome the ta'ava and to overcome the ka'as, is the kavanah of the woman that breastfeeds her baby. And because that's where this koach comes from. The breast represents those two koach. The koach of the ka'as, which is on the side of the heart, which is the heart. And then on the right is the ta'ava, is the desire. So these two are what brings and builds a child. Lo alen, if the mother has in her anger, and by the way, ask any old lady, or even ask a nurse, if the mother is angry or is sad and she breastfeeds, They will tell you, what do you mean? You're giving the baby the same, you're transmitting the child his emotions. That's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. So that's why the mother has to be in harmony, has to be happy, has to be in control of her desires, and cannot be angry when she breastfeeds. Because this is the power she gives, and that's how she builds the force of reaction and the strength in the baby. That's the balbim. That's the balbim. Here comes we see that the neshama will not leave behind the ruach. The question is do we give the neshama the proper tools in the ruach to be able to drag the ruach, these emotions in Gan Eden? We live this life and we want these emotions, great emotions, but we want to keep them forever. The secret to make all these special moments limitless and infinite is by continuously fighting. It doesn't matter how many times you won the fight. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to know is, did you fight all the time? If we fight the ta'ava and we fight the anger, Be'ezrat Hashem, that is the thread, right? This is the argument the neshama, our own neshama, will have in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring all these emotions to Gan Eden. And all these emotions stay alive forever because of the light of the tzaddikim that shines upon them and keep them infinite. You understand? So the fight allows the transition from the kever, from the grave, from the body to Gan Eden HaTachton. What gives those emotions the infinite bandwidth and the infinite behavior and enjoyment is the light of the tzaddikim. And what will define which light of tzaddikim the neshama? Depending on how high you are and in which levels of tzaddikim you are, you will be sitting with, that will define how much light will shine upon those emotions and give its vibrance and its depth. Right? So depending on the neshama, those emotions will be extremely alive, a little bit of life, or so alive. So with that, we conclude Pasuk Yud. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Now we will see. We'll see in the next Pukim how the Ruach will start telling her own, her own advocacy also. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
So the next book, Belineda, I think, should be about how to manage the kas and tavot. We should do like a
shiur just on that
whole series. Not shiur, like
more than one shiur.
The series.
Yes, like a series on kas, how to manage it, how to work with it, and this is the practical thing about the theory.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the problem of the world.
I have a question about this, and maybe it applies to a lot of other things, right? If you take Ka'as as an example in Tava, and there are two approaches, right? There's the approach of, if you learn the right things the right way, you organically are able to get over it, versus keying into an emotion specifically and maybe learning it specific to that emotion. Is that maybe more forced? I mean,
so are you saying the first side I understand, the second side is what? It's just to choke it, you mean? That's what you mean?
Yeah, so if you take, right, we don't want to be kas, right? And we don't want to succumb to tava. And you take different sources and you find, techniques and what have you to conquer it, right? Isn't essentially the Torah, if you do it the right way, if you learn everything the right way and you continue to do it, it meant to organically get you there where you're unwavering?
If you apply it correctly. if you apply it, which is the most subjective aspect of the Torah, is how do you take this thought and apply it
Right.
In your life. There is definitely two aspects that are complementary to a certain extent. One of it is the learning and the approach, and that depends on how genuine and how dedicated you are to your learning, obviously, right? And then there is the practical aspect of the retention and the pushback and the choking, where is it you need also that aspect, but you have to be careful that it shouldn't only be that aspect, because the Ochot Tzadikim, for example, the Ochot Tzadikim writes in his introduction that if you only choke, at one point you get there's a resentment that you throw it back, and then you become even worse. So you need this balance of the two in order to be able to really change yourself.
Right. And I think, I read somewhere, I forget where I was reading that, and it relates to the conversation we just had about, the Malbim's Pirush about linking the physical and the spiritual, right? About how the Arizal, if I have this correctly, used to be able to see somebody, and if he had a problem with his eye, he could tell you immediately what was wrong spiritually.
Yes.
And it's amazing how everything is, the physical and the spiritual is linked. We're just not able to see it, right?
Correct. Absolutely. It's a perfect mirroring effect. It's just that, do you see it or not?
Crazy.
Wow. We miss you.
And me too. Me too. Baruch Hashem.
Andy,